What if I told you 36-year-old James Harden controls the future of the entire NBA? James Harden is the difference between parity in the NBA and the next 10 years looking like this. Because currently the LA Clippers are one of the worst teams in the league, sitting 13th in the Western Conference and just one game out of 14th. Why exactly does this matter? Because they don't own their first round pick. Do you guys want to guess who owns that pick? The team who has currently lost one game all season and hasn't even had their second option the entire year. Well, not only are they going to get a healthy Jalen Williams soon, they might be getting AJ DeBanza or Darren Peterson as well. Everyone, can we all please just say a prayer quickly? James Harden, please keep those hamstrings healthy. James Harden, please stay away from the club. James Harden, please do everything you can. The NBA needs you now more than ever. I want you guys to understand how serious this situation currently is. We all know how good OKC are. They've lost one game all season, of course we do. What you may or may not know is this year's draft isn't a regular draft. This is Darren Peterson, 6'5", one of the silkiest, smoothest guard prospects ever. A guy who has drawn comparisons to Kobe, who people have said could have played in the NBA last year as a high schooler. Then you have AJ DeBanza, 6'9", a freak athlete in every sense of the word, someone who blends size, physicality, and skill in ways that very few prospects have ever done. Comparisons to Tracy McGrady, even LeBron James at times. I'm gonna say it again, considered to be one of the best prospects in recent memory. And a lot of people believe Cam Boozer might be the best of the lot. 6'9", built like a truck with the ability to knock down threes, dominate inside, and playmake at a level that you rarely ever see. With him currently averaging 21, 10, and 4 as an 18-year-old in college. So that is the big three from this year's draft class. And according to every draft expert, this is the best three players we have seen in a draft possibly ever, or for a very long time. To the point where draft experts like Kevin O'Connor have said this. Some executives around the NBA say that if Flagg had never reclassified, he would probably be the third pick at best, but could go as low as 5th or 6th. And I know, they say it every single year. This is the best draft, this is a generational talent, blah, blah, blah. No, this year, it actually feels different because you have three guys that are bona fide number one level picks. And what can't be exaggerated is the numbers these guys have put up already in college and dating back to high school. And the only thing separating OKC, arguably the greatest team in NBA history, and one of these future all-stars is James Harden. So when I say the future of the NBA is in James Harden's hands, I am not exaggerating. This is not hyperbole. And it is in James Harden's hands solely because if you haven't been paying attention to the Clippers this season, let me keep it short and sweet. Washed, injured, washed, and injured. Even Ivica Zubac has struggled. This is a team that is being carried by James Harden, who is currently averaging the most points he has averaged since he was in Houston, who had to go off for 55 points a few nights ago just to beat the Charlotte Hornets. And I know I'm talking about the worst case scenario with OKC, but while we're talking about him, can we just give James Harden some credit? There have been multiple times over the last 5 years where people have thought this is the end for James Harden. He is going to fall off and his days of being an all-NBA player are over. He's playing the best basketball he has played in years. When he said he is the system, he wasn't lying. And James Harden is doing absolutely everything he can to will this team to victory every single game. If he just had even a semblance of help, the Clippers would probably be 500 right now because of Harden. And I know Kawhi Leonard could come back and stay healthy, and none of what I'm saying would matter. And I could also win $1 million and you won't see me for a year. But as a Kawhi Leonard fan, I have no more confidence at all in him staying healthy. So once again, it is up to James Harden. And I've heard some people suggest, well, even if OKC get that top pick, these guys aren't going to have a chance to develop like they would. Do you guys know who Oklahoma City are? Their top 10 for minutes played, if you include J-Dub, who will obviously be up there, are 27 and under. Kason Wallace is 22, Chet is 23, J-Dub is 24, AJ Mitchell 24, Jay Will 23, Shea is a vet at 27. The hardest part about maintaining a dynasty in the modern NBA is the salary cap. When you have guys like Kason Wallace and AJ Mitchell who will need contract extensions, it's hard to keep the depth of that squad. You know a good way to keep that squad depth and make sure the contracts work? Drafting generational players on rookie contracts that you can have on your team for 4 years at $10 million a year. Just look at the top 4 from last year's draft. Flagg, Harper, Edgecombe, Kneppel. Every single one of these guys is helping their teams win. Imagine if you just put any one of these guys as the 6th or the 7th man, or even in some cases a starter on OKC, and how good would they look? Well, by all reports, aside from Cooper Flagg, this draft is on an even different level. So can you imagine just year 1, the impact one of these guys would make off the bench for OKC? Not to mention year 2, and then year 3, and then year 4, where they might be all NBA level players already on rookie contracts to go along with Shea, Jalen Williams, and Chet Holmgren, who will only be reaching their primes. Sorry, just give me a second to come to terms with all of this. Oh, and I should probably mention, this isn't the only pick Oklahoma City own. They also own the 76ers' top 4 protected draft picks. So when the 76ers end up with the 10th pick or 12th pick in this year's draft, it's going to Oklahoma as well. And speaking of the 12th pick, you know what is hilarious about OKC? Over the last 2 years, they have also had 2 lottery picks who they have drafted, neither of which have even played yet. Everyone is in love with AJ Mitchell, and obviously, have you seen how good he is? It's ridiculous. Even Brooks Barnhizer has been getting some minutes. Neither of these guys were the Thunder's top picks over the last 2 years, both years in which OKC finished top in the Western Conference and finished with the 12th and 15th pick in those years. We haven't seen either of those guys. I'm talking about Nikola Topic and Thomas Sorba. At one point, Nikola Topic was considered a top 5 prospect in the 2024 draft class. In fact, the only reason he didn't go in the top 5 or 6 was because of an ACL injury. And then we saw him in Summer League where he was looking really good, only for him to have one of the worst injuries you could possibly have. So prayers up to him, but you will possibly have Nikola Topic and Thomas Sorba to add to this mix, on top of 2 more lottery picks next year to a team whose best players are all 27 years and younger. Should I even talk about the NBA anymore? Like, is there any point? Because I'm starting to realize the league might be cooked. James Harden, please save us. Please save us.